Something came from Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore.
Welcome to another episode of Something Came from Baltimore. I'm your host, Tom Gowker, and tonight on the phone, I have the jazz trumpeter, Derrick Gardner. Derrick has worked with the Count Basie Orchestra, the Harry Connick Jr. Big Band, and Dizzy Gillespie. He led his own sextet, the Derrick Gardner and the Jazz Prophets, in 3 recordings, but he's back with a big band, and that big band is called the Big Dip Band. The album is called Still I Rise, and it can be found on the Impact Jazz record label. The release date is July 10th, 2020. Derrick Gardner is relying on his big band roots of the past, but the sound and solos are fresh and groundbreaking. Before we speak to Derrick Gardner, let's listen to a lead-off song on Still I Rise called Push Come to Shove. Derrick Gardner, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Just by name association, your name almost sounds like Eric Gardner, and I looked at the spellings. They're different, but Eric Gardner was murdered by the police for selling that loose cigarette in July 2014.
Yeah.
Just by all this going on in the last couple months, what's your thoughts on everything that's going on? It's a heavy question to ask right up front, isn't it?
All right. Well, it's something that I've always felt has it's been a tinderbox of sorts, or a powder keg, just waiting for a spark like this to happen. And the George Floyd case was really nothing different than all the other cases, but the key component is that you had this compelling video that was so horrifying, and you were able to actually see the life being extracted from this victim, and it was so horrifying to look at, and that just sparked this this repository of fireworks, or it's a huge explosion of awareness to the all things talking about the racial divide in America, and all the years of oppression against people of color, particularly against Black people. It's so unfortunate that a person had to lose his life in order for this to happen. But on the other side of the fence, with all the heightened awareness that the whole world is going through right now, just because of this one incident, I'm optimistic that a change is actually happening.
You have a recording called Melody for Trayvon on this record, and you are, that's a Trayvon Martin. You're identifying another tragic experience. And what was your thoughts on that? And we'll play a sample of that.
I just wanted to remember Trayvon Martin, and I wanted to keep his name on people's minds by writing that tune. It seems like, when something like this, when these tragic events happen, they are hot button issues for just like a limited period of time. It seemed like like the Trayvon Martin case, like it was heightened people's awareness for just a few months, and then all of a sudden it died down. And I still feel like this, the Trayvon Martin case was a very unique case because it was another horrific event that really got people thinking, and it forced that issue to the surface, and it was one of those incidents that peeled the skin of the onion from from that festival, and the odor started to hit everybody in the face. And so I said, well, we need to keep his name alive and keep this issue on the front burner. And my way of doing that was through writing a piece for him.
The Winnipeg is 700,000 people, and that's very similar to what Baltimore is right now. But
Yeah.
the difference is that they said that you kind of stand alone. There's the largest city around you is Minneapolis and St. Paul, where we have DC and obviously Philadelphia and some other places that. But I figured you're from Chicago, so you shouldn't have any problem with the weather. Like the weather should be very similar.
Yeah, but you never get used to it. Matter of fact, up here, I call this professional grade cold up here. Because up here, we get January, February, we get down to about -30, -35, with no wind chill. You just walk outside, it's just -30.
Wow.
And we didn't get that in Chicago. We would get, we'd get the wind chill, and that would maybe, get way down to those extreme sub-zero temperatures, but the wind would go up and down and up and down. It would, when it calmed down, then the actual temperature might be, -10 or 15, maybe something like that. But at the coldest, but yeah, it's up here is professional grade cold.
What's the jazz scene like then in that area?
Jazz scene is okay, but there are no jazz clubs here, like that have like a dedicated jazz ensembles that perform throughout the week.
There's a song for Brother Gillespie, and although you worked for Dizzy Gillespie, this is a different gentleman. And can you explain it's Soulful Brother Gillespie? We're talking about Uncle G.
He is an unsung hero of jazz drumming. And he worked with all the greats and all the iconic jazz greats that are a part of jazz history. And we worked together when I was on faculty, on jazz faculty at Michigan State University, and he's still there as the jazz drum instructor. And so we were playing a job with the jazz faculty. We would work as a group. The trading sequence as part of the performance of the tune, the horn players would trade 4s or 8s with the drums, and then we do that exchange. So I took my 8 measures, and then handed it off to Randy for his 8 measures, and Randy busted into this groove that I had never heard before. And normally, when a drummer takes their 8 measures, they go into like an improvisatory thing, doing different rhythms and different maybe obscure rhythms that kind of paint a picture up on the wall. But he didn't do that. He went into this groove for the entire 8 measures. And I looked at him like, what is that? And he just looked up and smiled at me and said, yeah, you ain't never heard this before. I said, what is that? And I got him to show it to me on the drums, and I wrote a whole tune around it.
Your song Heaven's the Murgatroyd. When I first saw that listed, it made me crack up, and I went, oh, that's the Great Gazoo from the Flintstones. And then I was like, wait a minute, maybe it's not.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
And it's
Right.
Snagglepuss. And it just brings you back to that time period that we sat in front of the TV when we were kids. This is the Exit Stage Left guy, or Exit Stage Right.
What a chintzy outfit. Can't even afford a log. So exit. Stage left. Ah, freedom at last.
So what made you think of Snagglepuss? And then it's really a lot of fun. Like what you did with this song is really a lot of fun. It's very entertaining.
Yeah. This melody popped into my head. I'm not sure what I came up. I think it was the rhythmic part of it. All the stuff that the piano, bass, and drums are doing. I kind of thought of that first, compositionally. It has all this kind of mechanical and very rhythmic kind of things that's happening in there. And the bass part is kind of like similar to like a kind of a ragtime kind of ostinato thing that's happening, but it's in 3/4 time instead of 4/4 time. And so I had this thing happening in all this rhythmic stuff happening in the rhythm section, and I said, I need a melody that's not going to get in the way of that. And so then I came up with that melody, and then after I put it all together, it just kind of reminded me. It was so crazy of a combination of rhythms and things that was going on in there. It just kind of reminded me of like some animated kind of episode of a cartoon I was watching, and I said, well, then I started harkening back to, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, Tom and Jerry, and all the great cartoons from back in that era. And I just came up with the title. I said, wait a minute, Heavens to Murgatroyd. That fits, and it just went on from there. And then after I had the basic arrangement down and we recorded it, I said, man, we got to those slapstick sounds that went along with all that animation. When the character would take off real fast and they had this, something like that, or all those slapstick sounds that they used to do was a part of those cartoons. I said, let's throw all that stuff in there, and it just really enhanced the entire presentation of that piece.
Heavens to...
Your album's called Still I Rise. The song is dedicated to Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou is one of my favorite poets. Her poem "Still I Rise" really affected me, and I would always look to that poem for like some type of a pick me up, to just kind of remind remind me of who I am as an African American, and all the struggles that African Americans have gone through to raise ourselves up to where we are, at this point in time. And when she passed away in 2016, it was as if she reached down and put her hands on me and said, "Write this tune."
It's Derrick Gardner and the Big Dip Band. The album is called Still I Rise, and it's on the Impact record label. The release date is July 10th. You can purchase this on vinyl, but if you do it digital, you're getting 3 more songs as a bonus. How cool is that? Like, it almost makes you want to go out and get it that way.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And also, when you get the album, you'll realize that there are still, like, now I realize they all were wearing like winter jackets. They all had hats on while they were performing because it's cold up there in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's right.
Not one person had like a short sleeve and some like
no,
sneakers
on. Not at all. Yeah, that was January when we recorded it, so yeah, it came prepared.
Derrick Gardner, thank you for talking to me today on Something Came from Baltimore.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore.
Hi, it's Tom Gauker, and I am the host of Something Came from Baltimore. Something Came from Baltimore is a words and music podcast, and it has famous and future famous artists like Sean Jones, Rupert Holmes, Auntie Hammy, Joey DeFrancesco, Go-Go Penguin, Joey Alexander, Bucanti, Gerald Albright, Paula Cole, and Kat Edmondson. It's music that matters. It's music for your ears. Listen and subscribe to Something Came from Baltimore and be a part of that Be More music scene.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something.